welcome to Painting Escape. My name is Katika. So today I'm going to show you step by step how to paint this painting. Alright, so let's start what you receive in your kit first. So you might have a bigger canvas or maybe you have a smaller canvas. I'm going to be painting on this bigger canvas so that you can see me clearly. But if you are painting on this smaller canvas or maybe bigger than what I'm painting today, if there is any different step, I will let you know. But so far there is no any different step. Alright, so you receive your paint in container in something like this. What I recommend is to take at least half of your paint out on your paper plate, so something like this, so that you don't run out of your paint. And especially I'm talking about the white colors. What happens is when you are using a dirty brush, and if you dip that dirty brush in that cup, that whole cup will become that color. So just to avoid that, take at least half of your paint out, especially white, on your paper plate. It will be so much easier for you. Alright, so make sure you also have a cup of water so you can clean your brushes here. And let's see what brushes we're gonna be using today. Alright, and make sure you also have maybe a paper towel if you wanna use that. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is, before we start anything, these are the colors that we're gonna be using today: black, yellow, green, red, and white. Alright, so first I'm gonna grab my biggest flat brush, and before I take any paint, I'm just gonna wet my bristles in my water here. Alright, now let's start painting. Alright, so for my background, I'm gonna start working on the background first. So as you can see in the original painting, there is some nice yellow, so let's work on that first. Alright, so first I'm gonna take like a tiny little yellow, just maybe this much is good enough. Putting on wherever you have space on your plate, just put it there, and grab tiny bit of white. So I'm almost taking like an equal amount, but not too much. Alright, and then I'm just gonna mix it all. Do you see? This is gonna become slightly lighter yellow. This is what I'm gonna be using for the area around my sun. Okay, so now it's the time to think about where you wanna add your sun. Mine's gonna be right here. To be honest, this is your painting. You can add your sun wherever you want to. Alright, so let's say I'm gonna leave maybe a fake. So I'm just gonna leave like maybe this much of area. If you are using a smaller canvas, make sure you leave maybe an inch and a half maybe. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna add my sun right here. So I'm just gonna make a little circle. So that is gonna be my sun. Alright, now I'm just gonna make my circle bigger. Just like that. I'm keep going on my circular motion, and I'm just gonna keep making my circle bigger and bigger. Alright, from now I'm not gonna create that color anymore. We don't have to, because we really want some texture on our background, right? Not just one color. So for that, I'm gonna show you a trick. Let's just take like a tiny amount of yellow on one side of your brush and just a tiny amount of white on the other side of your brush. Alright, so whenever you run out of this paint, just do the same thing and take both of the paint like this. Alright, so let's say I'm just gonna apply my paint like this. So now you can see I'm talking about this kind of a texture. You can see the white and the yellow at the same time. Okay, I run out of this paint. I'm just gonna repeat the same thing. A little bit yellow, a little bit white. And let's cover the whole canvas by doing the same thing. But I'm just gonna keep following my circular shape. So just in case if you wanna know how much paint I'm taking mostly more yellow and just tiny bit of white, not too much. if you are getting any like a fuzzier kind of a line, just take a tiny bit of water in your brush, and you don't have to clean that brush after that. Just take tiny bit of more paint then, and then start painting. You will see a big difference. That water will help you a lot to spread your paint, because the surface of our canvas is very rough, and water helps to get in that tiny bit of dots on our canvas the hell. I hope if that makes sense. To be honest, you don't have to worry about how the bottom's gonna look like, because as you can see in the original painting, we're gonna add our like some grass and the black area for the ground, so you don't have to worry a lot for the bottom area. Now if you think that you don't have that much of white looking on your canvas, just don't worry about that, because just focus on just covering the whole canvas for now. After we are done with the whole canvas, we're gonna go back and add a tiny bit of more white, and I'll show you a trick, very easy way. So just focus on just covering for now. Alright, so now that I'm done, I'm gonna add some tiny bit of more white. Okay, so for this, we don't have to clean our brush. I'm not cleaning. I'm just gonna take like tiny amount of white, and then I'm just gonna add some of the, you can see I'm adding like a half C, very randomly like this. Just maybe one more time over here, I guess. Alright, so that's all I'm gonna do, and then I'm not taking any more paint. I'm just gonna go on that line just maybe a couple times to make it slightly a little bit lighter. If you have too dark, you can just go maybe a couple more times on top. Now we're gonna add our sun. So for that, I'm just gonna be using my same brush. If you are not comfortable using this flat brush, you can also use your small brush. Alright, so again, I'm not cleaning my brush. We don't really have to. I'm just gonna take like tiny bit of white just on the tip, and this time I'm covering all the tip of my bristles. Alright, so let's say I'm just gonna add like small little circle like this, just going one time and just one more time after that. Now this is completely up to you how white you want your sun, or maybe how yellowish you want it. If you want more whiter, just go a couple times, maybe 2-3 times. That's all I'm gonna do. Alright, so now we're gonna add like one more color here. So let's do that. So for this, I'm still using my same brush. I'm not cleaning my brush. We don't really have to. Alright, so I'm gonna create like an orange color. So for that, I'm just gonna take like tiny bit of red. So this red is super dark, so just take like a tiny bit of red, and then I'm just gonna take some yellow. So as you can see, I take more yellow and tiny bit of red. I'm gonna mix it all together. Alright, okay, so now we have to do this before our background dries. So I'm gonna add this color. Do you remember how we add the white? I'm gonna do the same thing with this color, but this color, I'm not gonna use it anywhere near my sun. I'm only gonna use it on the outside of this area right here. Just very randomly, I'm adding this kind of a half C, you can say again. Okay, that's good enough. Now, if you feel like you have too much of this color on your brush, you can clean your brush. So also, let me also clean my brush here. Doesn't have to be perfectly clean. As long as we don't have too much of paint, you are good to go. Alright, I'm not drying my brush, but I don't really have to. Alright, so now I'm just gonna go on that brush strokes to make it slightly a bit lighter like that. Just maybe a couple times. Now, if you feel like it's still not a lot of darker color as much as you want to be, you can go one more time and repeat the same thing. I think that's all I'm going to do on my canvas here. Alright, so now we are done. Actually, we are done with this color, so let's clean our brush. Here, I'm just going to clean my brush. Alright, so now we're gonna start adding some grass. So for that, I'm gonna show you a very easy way. All you have to do is just flip your canvas like this. Okay, and then I'm just gonna be using just a plain green here. Just a plain green. Okay, and then I'm gonna be using my brush sideways. So something like this. Okay, so again, I used my brush earlier this way. Now I'm going to be using this way. Alright, so all we have to do is think about how much space you want for your ground. And I'm talking about the black area. And how much space you want, how much area you want to cover with the grass. So this is going to be my ground area. And this is going to be my grass area. So I'm going to start with the top of my canvas, bringing my paint down. So this is the only part that's going to show because I'm going to cover this area with the black anyways. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the whole top of this area right here. Again, I flipped my canvas. If you do this way, it will be so much easier for you too. Alright, so again, I'm going to start from top, bringing my paint down. And I'm not doing the opposite way. I'm not starting from bottom and bringing up. It's going to be slightly a bit trickier for you, but I'm showing you a very easy way. Start from top, bring it down. Something like this. And since our yellow is still wet, my green is gonna turn slightly a little bit lighter green, and that's okay. That's what we want. So some area will be very darker green, some area will be very lighter green, and that's gonna give a very nice texture instead of having just using a green, right? Now, if you are using a smaller canvas, I recommend to just maybe cover like finger size, maybe half finger size space, so that you have enough space to add your trees here and your leaves on top. And just in case if you feel like this whole area is looking like an equal size, just make some of the line a little bit more longer. Just tiny bit of more longer. Not the whole thing, but just maybe 4 or 5 lines, I guess. Alright, so ready for the magic? Let's flip it back. Alright, so you see that was so easy, right? Alright, so now if you are still working, just pause this video and start again whenever you are done. Here I'm all done with my grass. Now I'm gonna clean my brush. Alright, so now we're gonna do one more thing and then we're gonna take a little break. Alright, so now we're gonna start adding some trees. So I wanna really mention this: if you are using a smaller canvas, try to add less trees. If you are using a bigger canvas, you can definitely, if you have more space, go for it, add more. Alright, so now I'm still using my same brush. Just in case if you are not comfortable using this brush, you can also try using your small brush, okay, for the tree trunks. Alright, so here I'm just gonna take black paint just on the tip, as you can see. Alright, now I'm gonna start adding my tree, and this time I'm gonna use my brush this way, again, same way. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start from top and I'm gonna bring it down. You might have to go a couple times if you want to make your trunk a little bit more thicker. I'm just gonna go one more time. And as you can see, I don't have a straight line right here. We don't need any straight line. There is nothing perfect in nature, right? So we don't need any straight line. Okay, I'm just gonna add this one slightly a bit this way. And don't worry about how the bottom's gonna look like, especially the couple inches from, maybe an inch on the top, on the bottom, because we're gonna add a black anyways for the ground area. So maybe I'm just leaving this much of space because we're gonna cover anyways, right? Alright, so let's just keep adding more and more trees. You don't have to perfectly follow me how I add it on my canvas here, because we are all different and everybody's painting is gonna be slightly different. Okay, I'm gonna add one more. Maybe I'm just gonna add like a couple more on this side, on the other side. Alright, so now we're gonna take a little break because we have to let our tree trunks dry before we start adding our leaves, and also we have to let this green area dry, so with that we can add our ground. Okay, before you take your break, make sure you leave your brush in your water cup, otherwise your brush gonna dry out and you won't be able to use that brush again. Okay, so keep it in your water or you can clean it, and I will see you maybe in about like 10-15 minutes. Alright, so I'm back now. It looks like my grass is nice and dry. It's still kind of some spot wet, but that's okay. Alright, so now let's clean our big brush in case if you didn't clean it before. I'm still gonna be using my big brush for the next part. Alright, so again, I'm gonna flip my canvas this way. My grass is on top now, something like this. So now, do you remember how we apply our grass earlier? We're gonna be doing the same thing. This time we're gonna be using black. Alright, so let's take a tiny bit of black, and this time I'm only gonna cover maybe not even like a half inch, so let's say just maybe this much area I'm just gonna cover with the black. Alright, so let's do the same thing. I'm just adding like a small little stroke here. Let me do that very quickly, and then after I'm done and you want to see how it look like and then you want to do it, that's perfectly fine, so that you get more idea. So here I'm just going to do this part very quickly. And I'm trying not to make it too dark because I really like that green look. So I'm just gonna go one time here with the green, with the black. Alright, so now here I'm done. I'm just gonna flip my canvas back here. So as you can see, I covered this much area with the black and this is green. Alright, so now I'm gonna start adding my branches. So again, if you are still working on your grass, just pause the video and start again whenever you are done. Okay, so now I'm gonna start adding some branches, and for that I'm gonna be using my small brush. And make sure you leave your other brush in your water or you can clean it. Now I'm just gonna wet my bristles here. Alright, so remember I said earlier, there is nothing perfect in nature, right? So we don't have to create any perfect line for the branches. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take like tiny bit of paint here, just a black paint, and then I'm not gonna add any branch for this much of area. I'm only gonna add my branches on the top of this area. Alright, so again, I'm not adding anything over here. I'm only gonna add my branches on this area. Alright, so I'm gonna add my big branch going all the way to the top like that. Now remember, we're gonna hide these branches with some leaves on top. So we don't need any perfect branch. It's okay if it's slightly a little bit thicker or too thin. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add one more here, one on the top. Some around adding like two to three branches on each tree. You can also cross your branches like that. And I'm just gonna add like one here. Okay, and I'm also gonna add like a couple branches for some of my trunk area on the bottom. Just on some of them, not all. Alright, so ready for the fun part? Okay, so for this part, I'm gonna show you two ways how to add your leaves. Okay, for that, let's clean both of the brushes first. So here I'm just gonna clean both of my brushes. I'm just gonna show you both ways. Whichever way you are comfortable adding your leaves, you can do that. Alright, so one One way is using your small brush. Here I'm just gonna take just a plain red here, and then all you have to do is just add like a tiny little polka dots. Okay, so I'm gonna focus more adding on the top of this area. I'm gonna add like very less on the bottom area right here. So let's start working on the top area first. Okay, so I'm just adding like a tiny bit of dot like that, just like that. Okay, so again I'm using my small brush, just kind of pressing. As you can see, some of the dot is very big, some of them are like very small. So there is nothing, no right, no wrong here. Okay, that's the one way. And the other way is using your big brush. So with the big brush, you only have to use one side of your brush. So here I'm just gonna dip my bristles in a paint like that, and this is all I'm gonna cover. And all I'm gonna do is just make a dab like that. Okay, so whichever way you are comfortable with, you can try that. I'm still gonna be using my same big brush here. Okay, again, more is better, right? There is more leaves is always better. I'm really focusing on covering the top first, and then we're gonna come down. Also go on your branches area because we really want to cover that, right? We're gonna be using a couple more colors here, remember. Alright, so now I'm gonna work on this bottom area right here. So again, almost the same thing. You can use whichever brush you want to. All I'm gonna do is just add less depths, right? Okay, so just very randomly I'm adding my dots like that, not making it full like on the top I did. Not going on my sun, of course. You can if you want to. So that's all I'm gonna do with this color. Now I'm gonna move on to the next color, which is using slightly darker color. Okay, so how to create that color? Let's take a tiny bit of that color, red color, putting on side of your plate, and then teeny tiny bit of black, not too much, just maybe this much. So as you can see, I take more red here, maybe a bit more here, and just tiny bit of dot of black. Mix it all together. So it's gonna turn like magenta kind of a shade. Alright, let's do the same thing again. Mostly adding on the top of my canvas and just maybe a little bit on the middle area. Let's clean our brush. In case if you are using a small brush, you can clean your small brush. If you are using a big brush, clean your big brush. Alright, so to create that lighter color, you can definitely also use a little bit of orange, right? So here I'm also going to take a little bit of yellow and tiny bit of red, not too much. Mix both color together. Now I'm making my orange more lighter. So if you want your color more lighter, take more yellow. If you want your color, your orange darker, take more red. I'm taking more yellow here and less red. Alright, and then again, do the same thing. Just make dots. Not adding a lot here. One last color. So for that, again, I'm gonna clean my brush. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna use red and white. Okay, so here I'm gonna take a bit of red and tiny bit of, more white, tiny bit of red. Mix it all together. Taking a bit of more red here. Alright, now again, do the same thing. Make a polka dots. Not using this color a lot here, just only on some places. Alright, there we are done here with this painting. Now, in case if you want your sun more darker, go back with a little bit of more white. This is very optional. But here we are done. I hope you guys enjoyed painting with me, and make sure whenever you are done, clean all of your brushes with a little bit of this soap water so that you can use these brushes again, right? And paint with me. So again, I hope you guys enjoy painting with me, and make sure you take some pictures of your painting and yourself, put it on your social media, and also just tag us, and you might get a chance to win a free kit. Alright, so again, thank you so much for painting with us, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time whenever we paint again.